Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. Working towards the weekend, about half that work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you spending some time with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Casey Gaines back there on the ones and twos. Thrilled you're spending some time with us. JD Picell of On3 Sports is with us. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll talk some football with JD. It's a What If Wednesday. You're jumping in the Bayou Ford chat to start the show. Want to toss us some what ifs in there? We'll take them. Some transfer portal news. Some folks jumping in the transfer portal that LSU may have an interest in. We'll talk about that in hour number one. Of course, the Saints now looking towards another weekend, another home game with the New York Giants. I'm going to look at the remaining schedule for the three teams that are still in the running for the NFC South in hour number two. Talk some basketball as the Tigers will play on the hardwood tonight. I believe as of about 10 minutes ago, Jalen Cook is eligible, not because they've ruled on Jalen Cook's eligibility, but because there was a legal proceeding in Ohio against the NCAA where a restraining order was filed by a judge suggesting that every player seeking a multi-time transfer waiver is eligible for the next 2 weeks. I can't tell you that's 100% for sure because I ain't no lawyer. And I don't know exactly what was said. I'm just reading Twitter. But by the time we get to that at 2:15, maybe a little bit of clarity in an hour and 15 minutes, LSU's football schedule for next year is going to be released later tonight, 5 hours from right now. So I'll get to some of my thoughts on that as well. But I do want to start here. And I'll be very candid with you, the listener. I don't know that this would lead my show all that often. I can promise you if LSU had landed a pass rusher or we had LSU's football schedule for next year, or LSU was playing Duke in basketball tonight, this would not lead the show. But I think it's going to today because I do think that people in Baton Rouge have an opinion on this. And I do think it's relevant in the world of LSU athletics, and specifically LSU football. And that is the hiring of Tommy Moffett to be the head strength and conditioning coordinator at Texas A&M. Tommy Moffett was an institution in Baton Rouge. He lasted through 3 full head coaching tenures. Offensive coordinators came and went. Tommy Moffett stayed. Defensive coordinators came and went. Tommy Moffett stayed. Position coaches came and went. Tommy Moffett stayed. Athletic directors came and went. Tommy Moffett stayed. And when Brian Kelly took over the job, he decided to go in a different direction and brought Jake Flint with him to Baton Rouge. And at that point, Coach Moffett moved on and he went into the private sector and was doing some things with his Moffett method. You've no doubt heard his commercials here on Guarantees Airwaves, and hasn't been employed with the football program since he was let go at LSU. And now he lands on his feet in College Station. And I think that if you talk to any LSU fan, and I think this goes for nearly 100%, they would suggest Tommy Moffett did a great job at LSU. I think that's close to 100%. Almost nothing is 100%. We had a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback this past Saturday, and a sizable portion of the fan base wanted to move on from him in September. Like, nothing is 100%. Tommy Moffett, did he do a good job at LSU if that was the Citizens Bank and Trust poll question of the day, which it is now? Put that up there. Did Tommy Moffett do a good job at LSU? I think if people are answering truthfully and not trying to troll the poll and not trying to skew their answer because of the hiring at LSU, I think most would suggest Tommy Moffett did a great job at LSU. However, I read my tweets. I'm on the On3 message board every day. I check Tiger droppings. I get text messages from friends. Like, I'm very much listening to what LSU fans are saying day to day. I just am. I think it's, one, I'm a fan, as all of you are. And two, I just think it's important in doing my job to have a sense of what people care about and what people think. So I do. And there's a sizable portion of the LSU fan base that would suggest that Tommy Moffett had the game pass him by and Tommy Moffett did a poor job the last couple of years at LSU, and that they were glad that LSU went in a different direction under the new head coaching staff. I think there's a sizable portion that feel that way. If you listen to these airwaves, of course on the morning show, you're going to hear Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert talk up Tommy Moffett. T-Bob has said time and time and time again on our airwaves that Tommy Moffett is the favorite coach he's ever had. I don't know if ever Hester goes that far, but he loves Tommy Moffett. Brandon Taylor, who I do pre- and post-game with every football game, adores Tommy Moffett. And most of the people that played for LSU in the Moffett era, which is a lot, adore and revere Tommy Moffett and thought he was brilliant. So it's no surprise that T-Bob's going to get on in the morning show and talk about how much he likes Tommy Moffett. It's true, he does. I personally have nowhere near the relationship that T-Bob does with Tommy Moffett. As y'all know, I do an interview with an assistant coach for the pregame show every week. Usually I hit them all, so that means I did an interview with Tommy Moffett like 6 or 7 times. I've got his cell phone number. We're on a first-name basis. He was the second guest ever on Hunt and Hill. But I don't have near the relationship those players do. But I've always had a great relationship with Tommy Moffett. He's always been very cordial to me, and I think he did a great job. I'm not as close as T-Bob is. But I just want to talk about what I know. And then I'll tell you what I think about, 1, Tommy Moffitt's job at LSU, and 2, what it means for Texas A&M football. And Texas A&M football is relevant to LSU. I think it's reasonable for all of us to suggest that Tommy Moffitt's strength and conditioning program did a pretty good job in 2018 when LSU won the Fiesta Bowl, and in 2019 when they won the national championship and had the greatest team any of us have ever seen. Like, is it fair to say that Tommy Moffett did a pretty good job for those two teams? I mean, I can go through some of the names of the 2019 team, guys that I think were pretty physical, pretty fast, in pretty good shape. Jacob Phillips, Jacoby Stevens, Patrick Queen, Grant Delpit, Caleb Chason, Damone Clark, Neil Farrell, Tyler Shelvin, Christian Fulton, Rashard Lawrence, Michael Divinity, Glenn Logan. The offensive line won the Joe Moore Award. Sadiq Charles is a pro. Lloyd Cushenberry is a pro. Austin Deculus is a pro. Like, I don't think any of us are going to disagree too much on the fact that in 2019, LSU's team was in pretty good shape. Now, the 2020 LSU team was not good. But here's one thing I do want to add to this conversation. There was a large portion of the year 2020, especially the spring and summer, where you weren't legally allowed to go in there and work out. It was against the law. We had a global pandemic. You can't work out. I mean, I remember stories of Major League Baseball teams that were having to quarantine in hotels and pitchers putting mattresses on the wall and trying to throw baseballs off of a mattress on the wall to keep their arm limber. Like, it's hard for me to pin a lot on strength coaches when you're not allowed to train your athletes. And in the 2020 team, like, here's some things I know. Tyler Shelvin quit. Jamar Chase quit. Terrace Marshall quit halfway through. Miles Brennan got hurt. You had to play TJ Finley and Max Johnson. I mean, your defensive line and linebackers that year were Neil Farrell, Glenn Logan, Jaquelin Roy, Ali Gay, Damone Clark, Micah Baskerville, Jabril Cox, Jacoby Stevens. Offensive line, Dare Rosenthal, Ed Ingram, Liam Shanahan from Harvard playing center, Cam Wire, Austin Deculus. You had Bo Pelini coaching the defense. The team was mad at Ed Ogeron because he didn't march with them. Like, man, do I know what happened in the strength and conditioning in 2020? I have no idea. I don't know if a lot of people around the country were doing things differently. I don't know if a lot of people around the country had changed to a different method. I know all that stuff happened. And then in 2021, yeah, they went 6-6. And I hear a lot of people saying LSU was slow and tired and out of shape and the strength and conditioning was terrible. Yeah, they got punked by UCLA. They got Charbonnet ran it down their throats, and LSU couldn't run it at all. Kentucky absolutely annihilated LSU. No doubt. No complaints here. And I'm perfectly willing to cite those two examples as times where LSU looked outclassed by programs that I don't think should outclass LSU. I also watched them run for 321 yards against Florida. It was pretty physical that day. I watched them play Bama to a 2014 almost draw in Bryant-Denny Stadium. That's a pretty physical program. I watched them come home and beat an 8-3 Texas A&M team that had a pretty good defense. So they lost by 4 at Auburn in the at home against Auburn in the Bo Nix game. Like, man, again, I don't know how fast guys are running. I don't know what their max benches were. I don't know any of that stuff. I think LSU was in good shape in 19. I think 2020 was a complete cluster for all of organized sports and the world. And I think in 2021, some weeks they were pretty bad. And if you're going to tell me that Tommy Moffett lost his fastball and didn't know what he was doing and the game passed him by, I'm going to need something like concrete that illustrates that, right? And I will also say this. I don't know that Tommy Moffett is going to resurrect the A&M football program. In fact, I'll bet very strongly against that. I think they made a good hire. I think Tommy Moffitt's going to do a good job at Texas A&M. You know what? If Jimbo Fisher is calling the plays for A&M with all of Moffitt's dudes, they're probably not going to do very well on offense. If they don't recruit very well, they probably won't be very good on offense or defense. If Colin Klein sucks, they're probably not going to be very good. This is not a hire I'm going to spend a lot of time thinking about other than to say, I hope A&M loses every football game they play, and I like Tommy Moffett a lot, and I'm glad he found a new home. And I think Jake Flint's doing a fine job at LSU. But I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you, because they had 2 terrible seasons in 2020 and 21, that was pinned on Tommy Moffett and not the overall organization and what was going on at LSU. I'm going to pass some blame around to a couple of defensive coordinators, a couple of offensive coordinators, some recruiting misses, a head coach who was clearly a different dude at that point than he was in 2018 and 2019. And I'm just probably going to leave it at that. It irritates me sometimes when the echo chamber starts to accept something without much evidence other than, yeah, that guy just lost it. There were a few other factors why LSU wasn't very good. And I can also say right out of the same side of my mouth, he's a good strength coach. A&M better recruit really well and have a really good offensive coordinator, really good defensive coordinator. The only thing I'm confident in saying about Tommy Moffitt's tenure at Texas A&M is that I'm very confident in saying those players will love him, because I've worked with a lot of them. I've talked to a ton of them, and to a man, they adore Tommy Moffett because he's a great dude, wonderful father, and a hell of a strength coach. He did a good job at LSU, and I wish that he's happy in College Station and they get their butt kicked every Saturday. How's that sound? That's your open here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We got What If Wednesday coming up here in 15 minutes. We got some transfer portal news to get to. When we come back, JD Picell of On3 Sports is going to join us.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website you can go to check out David Duvall and his team. They've been in the business 30 years, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, a new bathroom can totally change the aesthetic of your house, the functionality of your house, and it can add value to your home as well. If you've got a bathtub you never use, or if it's just dated and needs an upgrade, David Duvall and his team can do it. They can do a full-scale renovation or remodel. They can do something as simple as a tub-to-shower conversion. Take the tub out, put a glass walk-in shower in, all those things I just said. Added value, better aesthetic, better functionality. But you won't know unless you get that free consultation and give David Duvall his team a chance to come in. If you're thinking, not a great time to pay for that right now, financing options are available. You can make it very, very affordable for you. Go to onebathandclosets.com. Check out the pictures of their great work. Look at the testimonials and request that free consultation I tell you about every single day. That website, one more time, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokee, $10,000 off new Jeep Grand Cherokee, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best kept secret in town.
Join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar and Town Square Pizza, downtown Baton Rouge. Dwayne Colucci will be with us, as well as Matt Humans and Paul Nolan. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, moving right along here. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. This time every single week, we head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline, find our guy JD Picell, host of the Hard Count on 3. You can subscribe up on YouTube, get his college football content each and every day. JD, how are you, sir?
I'm doing phenomenal, man. How are you doing?
We're good. We got another Heisman winner. What you think?
Let's get it done, man. How about that? How about that? Like, to be clear, regardless of what had happened in that Pac-12 title game, Jayden Daniels should have won the Heisman. This is a classic ball don't lie kind of moment here for JD5 getting some hardware. I think the big impact here, outside of him just winning the whole, bronze statue and the excitement around that, like, that's incredible. The thing I'm looking at now here is, like, if you're Mike Denbrock, what you can now market to potential young gunslingers through the portal or otherwise is like, hey, you saw what he was in year 1, got some time with me, got in the film room, got out there on the field a little bit, kind of coached him up. Year 1 to year 2, bada bing, bada boom, Heisman winner. A couple other, I think like 20 more touchdowns in a season ago, over 1,000 yards more passing, like just night and day taking the next step. And it has to be attractive and a tremendous tool now on the recruiting trail.
Do you think he would have won it had Bo Nix had a big game in the Pac-12?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think would have won it. I think Bo Nix was probably teed up to get it. And I think the odds were also favoring Bo Nix in Vegas, which to me is like the most clear indicator when it comes to that award leading, the week following. So no, I don't think he would have. But again, I think at the end of the day, we sit here and we say, all right, hey, men lie, women lie, ball don't lie. And ball did not lie here in this case. And so it was definitely well deserved. And I think the right guy at the end of the day won the award.
A lot of people down here cranky about Marvin Harrison winning the Biletnikoff over Malik Neighbors. Your thoughts on that award and Marvin Harrison winning it?
Yeah, I get it. And it's so tough because I believe Malik Neighbors had better numbers by a pretty fair margin.
Yeah.
Like, not so drastic, but enough to where it's like, yeah, hey, he probably had the better season. I get it. I think probably similar to the Heisman, you look at the snapshots for a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., and people remember probably the game against Penn State and the 3-touchdown game he had against Michigan State. And so I think just maybe the stages for Marvin Harrison Jr. and how much success Ohio State had this year as a team probably was that edge for him. Hunt, I'm gonna be honest, man. A lot of the award voting season kind of goes over my head. Like, I don't totally understand who gets to vote on what, because it just seems a little bit like it's all a little bit thrown out there to me. That's not throwing shade at whoever does has a vote, but I think there's probably some re-examination that has to happen with that.
Let's talk about the transfer portal. There are a lot of quarterbacks that are dipping their toes in the water here and kind of looking elsewhere. We saw Tyler Van Dyke yesterday is headed from Miami to Wisconsin, which is a bit of an interesting weather choice, but God bless the man. Cam Ward's looking around as well. I mean, what quarterback has your eye that has committed somewhere or is still in that process that you think could be a big splash?
You know, I think the big domino, you just mentioned him, Cam Ward. From where I'm standing, the understanding to me is that he is, for a lot of these schools in the transfer portal quarterback market, like the number one guy on their board. And so a lot of these schools won't move on a guy until they know they can or can't have Cam Ward. And so what I'm curious to see here is if Cam Ward, let's just say hypothetically speaking right now, he's on a visit to Miami, and hypothetically speaking, he commits. So if he commits to Miami, what happens to a guy like Will Howard, who, you know, took a visit to Miami recently? Does he go to USC? Does he declare for the NFL draft? If you're a team like Florida State, let's say they land Cam Ward, what happens to DJ Uiagalelei? So I think he is like the one massive domino out there that's going to set off this chain reaction of a sense of urgency from both schools and quarterbacks of, okay, hey, the music has now stopped in this game of musical chairs. I got to find a seat. And so I think we're going to see a lot of schools, too, for what it's worth, as these options decrease in the transfer portal when it comes to the quarterback market. You're going to see schools just kind of fold and say, all right, we're cool with our roster, we'll roll with the guys we have on the depth chart. Or you'll see schools get progressively more desperate and start to take guys that are a little bit of an eyebrow raiser for us as the college football public and say, oh, they took who? From what school? And that, to me, is just like the classic showing of the hand of, okay, well, we really don't feel great about what we have in-house and what's happened behind closed doors all fall. So to answer your question directly, Cam Ward is the massive domino I'm watching, and that'll dictate the rest of the market.
I've not had a lot of time to digest this, but I'll toss it out to you because it appears in the last half hour there was a court ruling that suggested that there's a 2-week restraining order on the NCAA that suggested anyone who's looking for a waiver to transfer a second time or third time and be eligible is eligible for the next 2 weeks until they figure this out. Just hypothetically, if we get to the point that a lot of people think we're headed to where you can transfer as many times as you want and you're always automatically eligible to play, what does that mean for college football?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the first thought is we are just jumping even further into the pool that is like the professional model. Like, we're already paying players. The mobility of players has never been greater with the portal. Like you said, we're already, even though we don't have that strictly in writing of you can transfer many times as you want and be eligible, it seems like that's been the way that's pretty much prevailed, except for common sense exceptions the NCAA should make, like a Tez Walker, which took forever for whatever reason to get figured out. I think that's that is 100% where we're moving, and we're seeing that from a player mobility standpoint, seeing that from a super conference standpoint. We're going to have, AFC and NFC Junior here with these conferences. Like, I think it really is just the inevitable glacial roll towards a professional model in college football, and this would just be another concrete step towards that. So I don't know if I'm necessarily for that, Hunt. I get the reasoning behind it for some cases, but it's already happening right now. I say we just put it in writing and just get to wherever this thing is headed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot to have to deal with 85 quote-unquote employees, which they're not, and having to deal with them while you're trying to restock the shelves at high school, and you can't really build a confident roster because you don't know who's coming. And it's a lot for college coaches, but they get paid a lot to figure it out. I guess that's where we're headed. I'm curious your thoughts. The SEC's schedule is going to be released tonight. Every school will have their full schedule for 2024. And I got a text from a buddy. It was like, when are we not going to play South Alabama and Grambling and all those games anymore? And I was like, well, I think it is going to happen in your lifetime. I just don't know how quickly we're going to get to that. Do you think we're headed away from ever playing these money games in September that nobody wants to watch?
I think we are, and the 12-team playoff feels like a pretty solid step towards that as well, where now you can, schedule better opponents and not be penalized for having a loss to Texas, for example, and be sitting there in that 12-team field. And even though Alabama wasn't necessarily when it came to that Final Four, I think the point stands of not having to risk it so much, especially in November when we see these SEC teams playing those FCS opponents or those D1 group of 5 opponents. I think that the concern for me is like, okay, well, then what happens to South Alabama? Like, what happens to, a Jackson State if they end up getting a chance to play against an Ole Miss or Mississippi State? Like, for a lot of those schools, that's what keeps the lights on. That's what pays for the volleyball team to be able to have new uniforms. And so I'm curious about, like, pulling away that Jenga block. As much as it is a TV product, I think we're getting there. But pulling away that Jenga block and what that's going to mean for not just college football, but the rest of college athletics, I think it really is Pandora's box. And I don't know where that other money would come from.
What do you think of the proposal from the NCAA's president to opt in or opt out of paying everybody $30,000 minimum every year that's on scholarship and deciding to kind of split things that way? Do you think that's a way that we're going to do things in the future?
Honestly, Hunt, that stuff is so out there to me. Like all the financial things and all the political things is so out there to me. I try and speak like delicately around those things. Because I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea on paper. Like, yeah, let's pay everybody. Let's make sure that, everyone's getting some piece of the pie. But obviously for every pendulum swinging one way, there's an effect the other way. So I think my initial thought is like, yeah, let's just try and allocate the funds accordingly when it comes to all the personnel involved, because that seems to be the biggest gripe across the board. Like, take a step further with these bowl games. Like, I'm down to give players a part of the revenue to make sure that Brock Bowers and Jared Verse play in the bowl game against each other. Like, that would be a great idea if that's really what we're after. There's so much money. So I think with as much money as being passed around, I'm okay with us allocating it sort of around the table here.
I think I asked you this last week, but we're a week closer and bowl games coming up this weekend. So, like, what's your excitement level to watch some of these games over the next 3-4 weeks?
I think you probably we talked about this last week, so maybe I won't necessarily group us into the same opinion, but I'm like, all right, we got 11-11 football. It's the last time we're going to get to see these teams play. I'm like, that's great. Like, let's do it. Like, it won't be that long till we're all on Twitter posting, all right, 21 days away from college football with the Calvin Johnson picture at Georgia Tech. Like, we're not that far away from that time of the year too. So as long as they're lining it up, I'll be excited and I'll watch, but there definitely is going to kind of be like a diet college football feel to it. Kind of college football 0 without a lot of these big names probably sitting out the bowl game.
What will you be talking about on your show over the next couple of weeks?
Man, we're hitting the portal hard. The
Yep.
portal is just, the most fascinating thing right now. And then also all the buzz around Dylan Raiola, 5-star quarterback, maybe taking another look at Nebraska and visiting there this weekend, flipping away potentially from Georgia. If that happens, that'd be massive for Matt Rule. So we're talking about all those things when it comes to the roster building side of things, and obviously the playoff will occupy a fair amount of our real estate as well.
We'll talk next week. Thanks, JD.
I appreciate you, man. You have a great week.
We'll sure do. That's JD Picell, on 3 Sports, host of The Hard Count. Subscribe up on YouTube. You can see his college football content each and every day, or you can catch it right here on Wednesdays. He joins us every Wednesday at 1:15. We'll do a little What If Wednesday coming up next on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
This holiday season, all your wishes are coming true on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Been thinking about joining FanDuel? No better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the National Football League. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $5 pregame money line wager required. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues and eligible bonus bets expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or somebody who has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford is taking $15,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ford Expedition. $15,000 off new Ford Expedition. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokee. $10,000 off new Jeep Grand Cherokee. And all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come.
This Sunday, as you can catch 3 different NFL games. We start with the noon kickoff. It's the Buccaneers and Packers. Immediately following that, it's Cowboys and Bills. And then the night game, the Ravens at Jaguars. Tune in to catch all 3 of those games right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So tomorrow our show is going to be at Calandro's. Be there for their yearly whiskey raffle. It's been virtual the last couple of years, but we'll be back in person. My show from 1 to 3 will be over at Calandro's. Matt from 3 to 6 will be at Calandro's. And you can stop on by, buy your whiskey raffle ticket. All proceeds going to go to charitable causes, St. Lillian Academy for kids, among others. So we're going to be excited to be out at Calandro's tomorrow. You can come see us and buy your ticket. The raffle will go on right after Matt's show ends at 6 o'clock until, I believe, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So come on out and see us tomorrow at Calandro's. So it's Wednesday. It means it's time for a little What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, first one here. What if the Saints hired Bill Belichick?
Doesn't excite me a lot.
No.
Best resume in the history of the sport. Hell of a run. I think a great coach. I think anyone who tries to dilute his career based on the last couple of years in the Mac Jones era, Cam Newton era, post Brady, I'm not really here for it. But I mean, you're looking at a situation where the Steelers are very mediocre without Ben Roethlisberger, and the Patriots stink without Tom Brady. And it's pretty evident that, like, when your quarterback leaves, I don't care how good you are, it's just not going to go great in the NFL. And so at his age, with as much control as he demands with the organization, that just doesn't do. I could probably list 5 NFL coaches I would much rather have piloting the ship the next 5 years than Bill Belichick at that age with this track record right behind him. That's the reality of the situation. I don't think the Saints are a type of organization to do something like that, and I don't even know if Dennis Allen loses his job after this year. We probably got 4 weeks to figure that out. But something tells me an owner will hire Bill Belichick if he moves on.
Most likely.
But
if he wants to move.
It would not be me. Yeah. I wouldn't be the one to do it.
Yeah, I wonder if he even has any kind of motivation to take another job. I guess maybe he would, just to prove that he could do it without Brady, perhaps. Maybe that's why Sean Payton left.
Those guys are wired
they're
a little
different.
differently. It's just a different deal.
Yeah. All right, what if they move LSU and Arkansas back to Black Friday?
I was thinking about this. We're going to talk about the schedule release in hour number 2 because the SEC will release all 16 schedules now tonight at 6 o'clock on the SEC Network. I believe LSU and Oklahoma will play Black Friday. I think that they'll keep Arkansas, Mizzou at the end of the season, and it just makes too much sense with Oklahoma State and Oklahoma not playing, and really everyone else on your schedule with a natural rival that they're going to play. It just feels like LSU and Oklahoma will be the finale. But I wouldn't mind going back to end the season with Arkansas.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're not good. And if you're trying to play for something really important at the end, I'd probably rather a team that I don't think is all that good. Now, it puts you up there in the cold, which is not
when you
great.
have to go there, that's going to suck.
It's going to be cold. And we've seen some LSU teams go up in there in the cold and not play very well. But, if you told me I had to end the season with somebody, Arkansas was up there on the list. I don't want to play on Black Friday. It's just inconvenient for a lot of people, and it gives you one day less rest and all that kind of stuff. But they're not good, so I'd kind of like to play them. But, again, I fully expect when the schedule is announced tonight that LSU and Oklahoma will play at the end of the season.
All right. What if you were Shohei Ohtani during the Dodgers negotiations?
So, for those that aren't aware, which I can't imagine there are very many, you know that he signed a $700 million deal, but he's only taking $2 million a year for 10 years. He's going to defer $680 million of that to be earned after he's done with the contract. And some people have hinted at trying to duck California taxes. Some people have hinted at he wants to be competitive and he wants the Dodgers to spend some money. Some people have hinted at, maybe he's got a wife who's a pop star. Like, I don't know really any of that kind of stuff. But I do think that there's a part of it that has to do with finances, whether it's deferring to get out of California taxes and that offsets some of the interest you lose, or whatever the case may be. But I do think there's a part of Shohei Ohtani that goes, I want to make this money, but if you're going to pay me all this money and it's going to really inhibit you from going to get 2 starters, which the Dodgers desperately need, like, I don't know if I want to do that. I just did this in Anaheim where me and Trout were awesome and everybody else on the team was awful and we never sniffed the playoffs. So I don't know Shohei Ohtani. I don't know what he's motivated by, but if I'm doing it, I love this deal because I don't really care about all the interest I'm losing on $700 million plus the $50 a year I make on endorsements. You're talking about a guy who over the course of the next 20 years will make more than $1 billion. If it's me, Hunt Palmer, I'm saying, hell yeah, let's pay me $2 a year and go get me, keep Freddie Freeman, keep Mookie Betts, go get Tyler Glasnow, go sign whoever the case may be, and let's put together a hell of a team. I'll get all my money and I'll play on a great team. I love that if there's a baseball element in it. That's the way I would think about it. I'm not here to tell you that in any sport I would forfeit a ton of money just to, to have a great team. I'm not going to say Joe Burrow should go up to the Bengals front office and go, yeah, I'll make $6 a year. That's fine. I don't really need the 40. Just I'll make $6 and we'll make it work. Like, no, that's asking a little bit too much, and I can't even go there, even though I do value winning. But if I'm still going to get the 700, even if it's 2 up front for 10 years, and then you're going to pay me 60, 80 a year on the back end, I'll let the next team worry about that I'm not a part of. That seems awesome to me from a baseball perspective. I love it.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to be getting the Shohei Ohtani Day along with Bobby Bonilla Day in the future. He's going to be getting paid till 2043. So, last one here. What if you got the Zion pick over, pick over? Yeah, so you got to pick the Zion over again, but you had to pick one of those two.
They both had their problems. I think that's pretty clear.
Yes.
Zion was great in the Minnesota game, and now he's going to miss his first game for an injury-related situation. Ja is still suspended for just
not being smart,
atrocious decision-making off the floor. And neither one are guaranteed to go away. There's no guarantee Ja is going to not get on his social media and flash guns in the strip club some more. And there's really no guarantee that Zion's going to lose weight and stay healthy. Like, both guys have their risk. If you're going to make me do it over knowing what I know now, I'm going to take Ja.
Yeah.
And look, he's a mess right now. And that story that came out on ESPN.com painted just an awful light where there are so many people around him trying to get him to go straight and go narrow, and he won't do it. It reminds me of that show Intervention you used to watch where there's so many people trying to help you. You know what the problem is. We just got to keep this thing moving forward. And with Ja, most of those people didn't have hundreds of millions waiting on them. All of those people didn't have hundreds of millions waiting on them when they're trying to kick whatever it is they're doing. He just needs to stop. I mean, it sounds so elementary, but like, you can go to the strip club. That's fine. If you register a gun to your name, like, that's legal.
Yep.
You can have social media. You can't do all three at once. Like, if we just don't do all three at once, we'll be okay. But there's no guarantee of that. And so I would take Ja. He's a mess, but Zion.
He's played a lot more games than Zion has.
Yes. None of it's great.
No.
They've got talent, just out of this world amounts of talent, but it's an interesting deal. We'll see if Ja can get it together up there in Memphis when he returns from suspension here in the next couple of weeks. All right, that's it for a What If Wednesday. Appreciate you all for firing those at us on Twitter and in YouTube as well. We've got plenty to get to here on this Wednesday edition. In hour number 2, we're going to talk some Saints in terms of their schedule against the Falcons and Bucks. We're going to talk LSU basketball and the potential availability of Jalen Cook with this new court order that seems to be applicable to the entire NCAA. LSU football schedule's coming out later tonight, so we'll talk about that in hour number 2 as well. But when we come back, a Louisiana native who is a former 4-star and has started a couple of years in the Southeastern Conference at a position of need for LSU just went in the portal. Can LSU make that happen? We'll talk about that coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Step inside an Infiniti QX50, and you'll find a suite of drive.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers, 1 week from signing day. Shay Dixon is here. We'll chat with Russ Mitchell and Pluckers Trivia. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Transfer portal continues to pop in college football, and we know that one of the themes across sports with LSU is if a player enters the transfer portal and they played their high school ball in Louisiana but did not come to LSU out of high school, that is kind of a warning sign to us that LSU may be interested. Go back to football with Mekhi Garner and Jarek Bernard-Converse. You look at guys in basketball like Jalen Cook and Carlos Stewart and Jordan Wright. You look at baseball, they just brought in Cade Woods. I mean, it's just a lot of guys. That happens a lot, fair to say, across all sports. And so today, a new name popped up into the transfer portal, and this applies. It's DeCamerion Richardson, cornerback, who just finished his senior season at Mississippi State, but he did play during the COVID year, so he would be eligible for one more season. He's a Bossier native, went to Bossier High School, a Bearcat, played some basketball games against the Bearcats back in my day. He has been a starter at Mississippi State for the last 2 seasons. In 2022, he started all 13 games. In 2023, he started all 12 games. Malik got after him a little bit. Remember, that day was not great for the Mississippi State passing defense, but in terms of Pro Football Focus grades, he far and away graded out the highest of the Mississippi State cornerbacks. This is a 6'2", 295-pounder who has played a ton of SEC football. I'm not here to tell you he's a first-round pick eventually or that he's going to be first-team All-League. I'm telling you I would take DeCamerion Richardson. That's a guy with 26 career starts, 2 full seasons of SEC football, long, rangy. It's not one of those guys you have to think, well, can he keep up? And that's been the case. LSU has brought in multiple transfers from other levels, whether it's FCS or whether it's lower level FBS, that have not been able to play. And they're still going to take some of those guys, and you'll see. You'll hit on some, and you'll miss. You don't have to worry about speed of the game or physicality of the game with this guy. Again, Do I think he's the best corner in the league? I don't. Do I think LSU needs enough help at cornerback that a 2-year starter in the SEC West from Louisiana can help? I'll take this guy any day of the week. So DeCamerion Richardson just into the transfer portal. Mississippi State lists his hometown as Cullen, Louisiana. I'm from Shreveport, and I've never heard of Cullen, Louisiana. So I'm going to look that up at the moment. If a bunch of you in Louisiana that are listening to this have heard of it, I'm impressed. But it shows up here. Oh, I've driven through Cullen many times. Cullen is on the way to Spring Hill, which is where Devin White's from, which is right on the state line. Spring Hill was in my district. I just never realized I was in Cullen when I was in Cullen. But that's where he's from, up there in very much North Louisiana, Bossier High. And I think LSU will have some interest. And I hope that LSU does make DeCamerion Richardson a priority in the transfer portal window now that it is open. So that's just one thought there on the transfer portal. We'll talk some LSU schedule and some more football in hour number 2. I wanted to finish the hour briefly here with goings-on in the NBA last night. And they surround a guy that they surround all the time. It's Draymond Green, who was given a technical last night. And, I mean, it was just a ridiculous play. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. Sun center Jusuf Nurkic was dribbling the ball, and Draymond, he got tangled up. And Draymond, as he says, he was trying to sell the foul, which is why his arm flailed. Well, the problem is that it's very obvious that we know Draymond knows exactly where Jusuf Nurkic is. He's bodied up with him. So he knows if he swings his arm back one way, he's there. And he just hauls off and decks the guy. And then he apologized after the game saying, you know, he was pulling my hip and I was swinging away. I was trying to sell the call and I made contact with him. He decked him. And as you know, I'm not one to apologize for things I meant to do, but I do apologize to Jusuf. I didn't intend to hit him. He's just lying. Like, if you watch the play at all, which Casey's put up, he just rips his arm back and decks him. And I've talked about Draymond probably too many times on this show because we're wired exactly oppositely. He's fiercely competitive. I'm cordial and generally jovial. He's got some arrogance and some, you know, I'm trying not to cuss when I say he's got some jerk in him on the floor intentionally. I have none of that in me. He wants so badly to beat you and make you feel bad and get in your head. And I'm a people pleaser who wants to make peace. So I realize that I'm the wrong guy to be commenting on Draymond because he sees things one way and I see things, and he clearly believes, and there are a lot of rings in his drawer to back up this claim, that he's got to play like a world-class jerk 100% of the time he's on the floor or he can't be at his best. And it just makes no sense to me. And certainly you can't come on here and try to cover up for just a dirty play, knocking somebody in the jaw. I mean, Nurkic said in the postgame, he was like, there's something wrong with that guy. I might agree. And again, he has said this many times in press conferences, like, I need to be a certain way. I got to fire my guys up. And the Warriors all say they respond to it. Why you need your player to hit people and yell at people and talk trash and get technicals to play to your level of competence, I have no idea. But it looks more ridiculous every time we have to watch it with Draymond Green. I mean, Live at Lunch's question, does Draymond need professional help? I put no. I don't think he needs professional help. I think he's a bright guy. He just sees things so through a different prism than me, and he thinks that's necessary for him to go out there and play. And I just couldn't disagree more. It's a weird deal with Draymond Green. We'll wrap hour number 1 there. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you find your audio or your video, you can find us. Just search Hunt Palmer Show Like, subscribe, rate, and review. A little LSU hoops talk in hour number 2. LSU football schedule coming up in hour number 2. When we come back, Saints, Falcons, Bucks, what's left? What are the odds the Saints do make the playoffs? We'll get to that coming up next.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Ford is taking $15,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ford Expedition. $15,000 off new Ford Expedition. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product
is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Warriors forward Draymond Green's awaiting an NBA league office review for the possibility of another suspension. Last night, he was ejected for a flagrant 2 foul after hitting Sun center Yusuf Nurkic in the head. Third ejection of the season, happening a month after he was suspended 5 games for putting Timberwolves center Rudy Gobert in a headlock. The NBA needs to send a message to Green with a lengthy suspension, suggests ESPN's Jay Williams.
15 to 20 games, and if you do it again, we'll talk about 20 to 30 games. I'll keep escalating it until you choose to get the point, because what you're saying is we are going to reward that type of behavior by not having a strong stance on it, and you're not protecting the players who play the game the right way.
J. Will on Greeny getting ready for Kansas City. That was Patriots coach Bill Belichick's response to questions about his future following a report that he and the team will split after this season. The Patriots host the Chiefs on Sunday. Two-way superstar Shohei Ohtani, the newest Dodger, will be introduced by the team at a press conference tomorrow.
Brought to you by the Capital One Venture X card. Earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights when you book through Capital One Travel. Plus 2x miles on all other purchases. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, officially working towards the weekend. It feels like there's a lot of office holiday parties going on this week. Guarantee going to have theirs tomorrow. I got a buddy who's at a big lunch right now, sending us pictures of his glass of wine. Somebody mentioned to me that nobody in their office is working next week. I mean, people are just shutting it down left and right around here. I mean, we're doing our part. We're going to do our holiday party tomorrow night, and we are going to be out on Friday, but we're back in next week for the whole week, and then, you know, we're back for a few days the week after that, after the Christmas. We'll work a little bit, but I feel like people are starting to shut things down for the year. You get those renewals in. Maybe that's your game. You get your budgets for the next year in, and you kind of get to the holidays and eat and drink your way through it. But we're glad you're hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Let's start with the Saints. Right now, it's a 3-horse race in the NFC South, and you know that. The Panthers, not part of the race. They're atrocious. So it is the Saints, it is the Falcons, and it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I wanted to look at the remaining schedules and kind of see what's on the plate of the New Orleans Saints coming up. By now, you know the Saints situation. They have the Giants at home this week. The Giants are 5-8. Then they play 3 consecutive 6-7 teams. They will play at the Rams on a short week on Thursday next week. They will then go to Tampa on a little bit of a longer week. And then they will finish at home with Atlanta. So the Saints finish at Tampa and home Atlanta. But all 4 teams they play have losing records moving forward. The Falcons will play 3 of their final 4 games on the road, but it's not exactly Murderer's Row. They'll play at Carolina this week, the 1-12 Panthers, who you watched on Sunday. Not great. So Falcons at Carolina. Then they'll come home to play the 7-6 Colts. And then they'll finish with 2 straight on the road at the Bears, who played a little better last week, and it's Chicago around Christmas, usually not too pleasant. Then they come to New Orleans. And then you got the Bucs. The Bucs are at Green Bay this week. Green Bay had one of 4 or 5 before they lost against the Giants this weekend. Looks like the high of about 40 in Green Bay. I checked that for Sunday, so nothing like 13 or anything. It's going to be in the 30s for the Bucs in Green Bay this weekend. Then the Bucs are at the Jags. So that's 2 pretty good teams they will play. At Green Bay, who's playing a little better, and then they play Jacksonville at home in Tampa. Lawrence should be a little healthier by that point, coming off of the ankle injury. Then the Bucs are in Tampa against New Orleans, and then they finish the year. The Bucs finish at Carolina. Now, the Saints have to win that Bucs game. If they don't, then they lose the tiebreaker to Tampa. You realize that, plus Tampa finishes at Carolina. That's very winnable. Like, that game is going to be huge for the Saints. But what I will tell you about the 12 games I just rattled off, the Saints Final 4, the Falcons Final 4, and the Bucs Final 4, is that only 2 teams in the entirety of that 12-game stretch have a winning record. The Saints don't play anyone with a winning record. The Falcons play 1 team, the Colts, who are 7-6, and the Bucs play the 8-5 Jags. That's the only 2 games on this entire slate that have teams that have a winning record. So for the Saints, it kind of works out like this in my head. We're dealing with Atlanta first because the Saints must beat Atlanta at the end and finish ahead of them because all the tiebreakers head towards Atlanta. So they're going to have to go into that final game tied with or ahead of Atlanta and beat them. That means you've got to go 2-1 over the next 3 if you're New Orleans. You have to win 2 of 3, home Giants, at Rams, at Tampa. Because if you go 1-2, then that would mean the Falcons have to lose all 3. That's not a great way to do business. So the Saints, at a minimum, need to go 2-1 over the next 3 before you play Atlanta in the Dome. The other thing the Saints have working for their advantage is that the Falcons and Bucs play 3 of 4 on the road. That's a good sign. It's not great teams they're playing, but they are on the road. So for the Saints, if you're trying to make sure you go 2-1, quite frankly, you need to win on Sunday against New York. You play the Giants, you play Tommy DeVito, the agent's probably there, the family's probably there, the memes will be there, the Barstool folks will be all over it. The Giants are quite a show right now. But you need to beat them. Because if you don't beat the Giants on Sunday, then you're going to have to sweep at LA on a short week and at Tampa. Both of those are about 500 teams. They're both 6-7 right now. And the way the Saints have played, if you're telling me you're confident New Orleans is going to go on the road and win 2 in a row, I got differing opinions with you. So this comes down to the all-empowering cliche, must win. Is Sunday a must-win for New Orleans against the Giants? Well, no, it's not. Because you could still win the next 3. And if you did win the next 3 and you finished 9-8, I think you would probably win the division. So no, I don't think it's a must-win. It's as close as you can possibly get. It takes a lot for me to throw the must-win moniker on a game because people do it constantly. You hear must-wins in the NFL around Halloween. No, it's not. You'd like to win. You want to win. It would really help to win, not a must-win. Sunday for the Saints, you'd like to win. Would help to win. You want to win. Is it a must-win? Oh, it's close. It is really, really close. Because if I'm going to plot this thing out the way I think it's going to go, and let's just do the exercise for the sake of it. I think the Saints beat the Giants. I think they lose at the Rams. I think they lose at Tampa. And at that point, I would suggest the Saints would be in big, big trouble, even if they were to beat Atlanta, because that would make the Saints a 8-9 football team. And at that point, you would need the Falcons to lose to the Panthers and the Bears and the Colts, assuming you beat them in the Dome. Tampa has their hands full because I don't think Tampa's very good. I think Tampa's going to lose at Green Bay. I think they're going to lose to Jacksonville. And look, they got to go to the Saints. They could very well lose that one too. Sorry, that game, Tampa and the Saints is in Tampa. For some reason, I had that marked wrong. But that game is in Tampa. So that makes it tough. The Saints are going to have to win one on the road too. But it starts with New York on Sunday. You win that game, you get to 500, and you feel like there's a real good chance the Bucs could lose, and the Falcons kind of have a layup at Carolina. Anything can happen. The Falcons aren't that good. But you feel like the Falcons are going to win. So theoretically, if we're just doing hypotheticals, if the Falcons beat Carolina, that would put the Falcons at 7-7. If the Saints lose to New York at home, that would put the Saints at 6-8. And you have to get ahead of Atlanta the next 2 weeks. It's inching towards must win. Not quite there, but it's inching towards it. It's a big, big, big game for the Saints on Sunday against the New York Giants. We'll be talking about it over the next, I guess just one day because we're not going to have a show on Thursday. So we'll get my final pick for Saints and Giants coming up tomorrow on the show. Some breaking news in college athletics today. It was about 10 minutes before we went on the air at 1 o'clock. So it's been out there for the last hour and 20 minutes. I think Jalen Cook might play tonight for LSU, not based on his waiver, but based on what the NCAA said. I'll get you ready for tonight's game with Alabama State with LSU. I'll give you why I think Jalen Cook's going to play. That's all coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Jersey Mike's, Highway 30 in Gonzales near the new Heritage Shopping Center. If you're not familiar with where that is, it's the Tanger Outlet Mall exit, and it's north of I-10. You got to go about a mile in north off of I-10, and you'll see Jersey Mike's right there near the new Heritage Shopping Center. They got some famous cheesesteaks in there, man. The number 17 is their best-selling cheesesteak. Grilled steak, fresh to order with steak, peppers, onions, and white American cheese. Here's how it works. You walk up there, give me that number 17, the original cheesesteak. They take the steak, drop it right on the griddle, put the peppers and onions right there with it, get it all warmed up, melt the cheese over the top, and slide it on that fresh baked bread. They bake their bread daily there at Jersey Mike's. And I want to remind you, as we do every single day, to consider the catering over at Jersey Mike's. They do a great job, and they're willing to help you. No order really too big. We're talking about a location here in Gonzales that fed 2 high school football teams in one day. They can handle your office, I promise. Go to jerseymikes.com, find the location in your area, Highway 30 in Gonzales. If you find them, tell them you're a Hunt Palmer Show listener. They'll give you 20% off of that catering order. Throw in a cookie or brownie platter. Love that kind of stuff over there at Jersey Mike's. You can download the Jersey Mike's app, find them on DoorDash or ASAP, wherever you order your delivery from. Jersey Mike's, so above.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Thursday edition of Off the Bench. We have a new edition of Big Deal or No Big Deal. LSU Athletics executive chef Michael Johnson joins the show for a new edition of Munchies, and Caroline Fenton joins the show to talk college football. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust invite you to bling in the holidays. Register today at 1045ESPN.com to win a $10,000 custom piece of jewelry handcrafted by Stuart Selassie himself. Bling in the holidays with Citizens Bank and Trust, Selassie Jewelry, and 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So big news today in court. Not basketball court, like the legal court. The NCAA received a restraining order today in regards to multi-time transfers and their eligibility. It's a 14-day deal until another hearing is had on the 27th, and maybe something further comes along on the 27th. But for now, we're dealing with a 2-week window. And this appears to have taken the shackles off of everyone who's looking to compete after transferring a second time. Ross Dellinger from Yahoo received a statement, okay? A statement from the NCAA that said, as a result of today's decision impacting Division I student athletes, the association, meaning the NCAA, will not enforce the year in the year in residency requirement for multiple time transfers and will begin notifying member schools. In layman's terms, that means we're not making you sit out, we're telling everybody. So I don't know how long it takes for them to get on the phone with LSU. I could probably get somebody over there pretty quickly, but they got a lot of phone calls to make. It appears to me that everyone is eligible if you are being held out due to a multi-time transfer, and we know that is the fact with Jalen Cook. I think he can play tonight. LSU plays Alabama State in the PMAC tonight, 7 o'clock. I think Jalen Cook is eligible. Now, whether or not the NCAA can make a phone call in the next 4 hours and 42 minutes, I don't know. That's putting a lot on the NCAA. They got a lot of phone calls to make. But it would seem to me that they might go through the list of players that are requesting this waiver and maybe see who plays tonight and not tomorrow or Saturday.
You're giving them a lot of credit. You're giving them a lot of credit there, Hunt.
Look, it just seems like this might make some sense.
It might, but that's the problem. It makes sense. That's the problem.
So I don't know if Jalen Cook's going to play tonight or not. That has not been announced by LSU. It has not been announced by the NCAA. But it appears to me, based on this restraining order and the results of the decision, that Jalen Cook is eligible. Now, this is what I want to tell you about Jalen Cook becoming eligible. This is not a panacea for everything going on with LSU's basketball team right now, okay? We've done this before. Most recently with Adam Miller. Because LSU, in the year that Adam Miller tore his ACL under Will Wade, last year of Wade, you remember that was a top 5 LSU defense nationally. They switched everything. It was Xavier Pinson and Eric Gaines, Brandon Murray, Tari Eason. It was a really good defensive team. But they could not score. And all year long, and I did Hoops with Hunt, and I don't think I fed into it quite as much as maybe some did. Maybe I did, but maybe not. I would suggest not, because he wasn't like he scored 40 a night at Indiana. Everybody was going, well, if they just had Adam Miller, they'd score a lot more. They just had Adam Miller. This is a Sweet 16 team. Well, I don't know. And then we saw Adam Miller last year, and he struggled offensively. I think it's fair to say that. So it's easy when LSU's struggling to score offensively, which they are. They scored 60 points on Saturday against a mediocre Kansas State defense. It would be easy to say, well, if they just had Jalen Cook, he's the point guard, he'd make it go. It's not that easy. Baker's been hit or miss. They haven't shot it like I thought they would. There are more problems with the offense than just throw Jalen Cook in, we're good. But having a fourth-year college player run the point for you, who's averaged 15 to 18 a night in the FBS, in D1 in college basketball terms, has shot the ball pretty well and run the show, and is 22 years old, yeah, that's going to help over a true freshman trying to run the point. Mike Williams is giving you everything he's got. He's been thrust into a position that I don't think he quite signed up for, and that I don't think the staff anticipated him taking on. But Jalen Cook's better, and he will help if he's eligible. He shoots it pretty well. He can create off the bounce, and maybe he can help stay in front of somebody on the perimeter. Now, Cook's never been an elite-level defender because he's a little bit undersized, and that a lot of times hurts you defensively. But he's pretty quick. He's put together. And LSU needs to find somebody to help him defend on the perimeter. Maybe Cook is that guy. So, in short, to kind of pare all this down and make the point that I'm trying to make, man, would it be great if Jalen Cook's eligible and can play. Does he make LSU a contender in the Southeastern Conference overnight? Does not. Does he make LSU better? Does. And I hope we can see him tonight. Alabama State is coming into the PMAC. Again, a 7 o'clock tip tonight. If you want to listen to it, you can on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, 6:30 pregame with Chris Blair and John Brady. Alabama State beat LaGrange. Then they went to Oxford and played Ole Miss. They lost a 10-point game there. 69-59 was the final. They went to Iowa City and played Iowa. Iowa got after them a little bit, beat them by 29 points in that game, 98-67. Played something called Oglethorpe and won by 60. But they played Memphis in Memphis and lost 92-75. So the big-time games that they have played to this point are a 17-point loss to Memphis, a 29-point loss to Iowa, and a 10-point loss to Ole Miss. LSU's a 20-point favorite tonight. I'll be pretty candid with you. I'm not real comfortable laying 20 points with LSU against just about anybody. So if you made me play the game, I'm probably going to take Alabama State, even though I don't know really anything about them. I think the storyline tonight is, one, can LSU win a comfortable game and not make it a knee knocker late? They got out to a big lead on North Florida in a game that I went to a couple weeks ago and then promptly give up a 13-0 run. But can Jalen Cook play? Because more important than Jalen Cook playing against this team, Alabama State, they need him on Saturday. And I'm guessing there's a pretty sizable number of you that don't know what LSU's basketball team is doing on Saturday. Fair to say? Beck, do you know what LSU's doing on Saturday?
I'm guessing they're playing a game.
They are. Do you know who they're playing?
I do not.
I feel like a lot of people are lined up with that, and I get it. LSU's going to Houston, Texas on Saturday to play the Texas Longhorns. So
I knew about that game. I forgot it was this Saturday.
It is this Saturday, and I'd really like it if Jalen Cook played in that game. I'd, at this point, be really surprised if he doesn't. I'd also like it not to be his first game. So if they can get him out there for 15 minutes tonight to play against Alabama State, I think there's a little bit of benefit in that with LSU going to play Texas on Saturday. Again, I'm not sitting here and picking LSU to beat Texas on Saturday, but Jalen Cook will help. So hopefully that's the case. I'll be watching the same thing in this game that I've been watching with LSU for the last 3 weeks. Defend on the perimeter with the dribble drive, keep it out of the paint, and make some shots. That sounds so elementary, but it's what LSU's going to have to do because they're not going to be a great team at creating off the dribble. They don't have a go-to bucket on the block. Baker hadn't quite been that. They're going to have to make some jumpers to win games. And they're going to win tonight no matter what because I think they'll just beat Alabama State. And a bunch of you are probably rolling your eyes. Oh, you can't pick this team to beat anybody. Remember that Nichols game? They're going to beat Alabama State. But I'd like him to play a little bit better because that's been my kind of push here over the last 10 days. Since Syracuse and Kansas State, I'm kind of looking at it in a mode like, okay, I get it. I know where you are, and I'm not wild about it, but it is what it is. Can't change it. How do I view this? I view this one way. Get better. Show me something. Tyrell Ward, get better. Jalen Reed, get better. Mike Williams, grow up. Carlos Stewart, hit some shots. Get better. And if they do that, it'll be encouraging to move forward. If they don't, and they do what they did last year, that's tough to drag yourself out of. So tonight, it's not about what does Alabama State have on the block, or do they have a sharpshooter from the corner that LSU's got to deal with? What defense are they playing? No, it doesn't matter. LSU's bigger, faster, stronger, better than Alabama State. It's about playing better, putting a team away, and seeing if the point guard that you figured would be the admiral of this team, the captain of this team, the guy who runs the show for this team, is he now eligible based on the new ruling that came down an hour and a half ago against the NCAA. Tonight, 7 o'clock, LSU and Alabama State from the Assembly Center. We'll be reacting to it a little bit on tomorrow's show. And hopefully, over the next 4 hours, LSU puts out a statement and says, hey, Jalen Cook's ready to go. And LSU can send him out there, and he can play a little bit tonight. All right, plenty to get to over the next half hour of the show today. When we come back, LSU's football schedule is going to be announced for next year. That's tonight at 6 o'clock. We know who they're playing, just a matter of when, and I have my thoughts coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Neil and Melissa Boudreaux. Love chatting with Neil and Melissa Boudreaux. Running a family business for 40 years is no joke, and that's what they've done with Boudreaux's Electric. They're a certified Generac generator dealer, a premier Generac generator dealer. Protect yourself from power outages. Give yourself the peace of mind to know I'm trying to watch this game, or I've got a newborn in the house and I need to keep it cool or warm depending on the time. Let Boudreaux's Electric help you with that. They can do it, and they can give you that peace of mind for $5.20 a day over the lifetime of a free 10-year warranty. Free 10-year warranty. They use the highest quality copper, highest quality piping and tubing, and they'll install it in a way that's discreet and aesthetically pleasing in your home. We know you take pride in the look of your home. Don't have just a huge honking generator sitting there for everybody to see with tubes and wires everywhere. Boudreaux's Electric's not going to do that to you. They're going to do most of the install underground. It's Boudreaux's Electric. Give them a phone call. They're expanding to that Gonzales location. Doors aren't open yet there, but the phone line already works. So here's the number for Boudreaux's Electric if you want to make that call today. It's 225-300-9389. 225-300-9389. That's Boudreaux's Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His
Join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch from Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar and Town Square Pizza, downtown Baton Rouge. Dwayne Colucci will be with us, as well as Matt Humans and Paul Nolan. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We're working towards the weekend. It's a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Tomorrow, we'll be at Calandro's for their whiskey raffle. Very much looking forward to that. You can stop on by, buy your tickets. Got a bunch of rare whiskeys they're going to raffle off. It's been virtual the last couple of years, but it's going to be in-store tonight on the SEC Network. That's a 6 o'clock broadcast for them. And they will milk that hour for every single thing it is worth. They will go week by week. They will go team by team. They'll probably do some predictions. They'll have coach interviews. It will not be an efficient broadcast, but that's okay. You're going to get the information, and it'll be set up so you can set your travel for next year. You can set your travel down to Baton Rouge or for whatever road games you want to catch. Find the open date. If you're going to get married next year, you can do that as well. And that's a popular thing. I think I've had a wedding the open date like the last 5 years. But yeah, that's going to all be available tonight. We already know a few things about LSU's schedule. First of all, the non-conference games are already set up. We know when those will be. And so it's a monster of a non-conference schedule, but LSU's already announced those, and that's not what we're finding out tonight. So you already know that LSU plays USC the Sunday of Labor Day weekend. That'll be on September the 1st. They play Nicholls State the next week on the 7th. You'll play UCLA 2 weeks later on the 21st at home. And then you'll have South Alabama the following week on September the 28th. Every single non-conference game that LSU plays will be in September next year. There's not a game in the back end that was like Georgia State or even Army this year that we're kind of in the middle of the schedule. It's early non-conference and then all SEC late. Also, one thing that we have to be aware of for the schedule release this year. This is one of those years where the calendar sits that between Labor Day weekend and Thanksgiving weekend, which is the bookend of the college football schedule, there's an extra week. So LSU will have 2 byes next year. And I'm very curious tonight to see where those fall. We feel like LSU and Bama are going to be off a bye. That's always the case. Halloween weekend, mark it down. I believe LSU and Alabama will both be off. Okay? So, where's the other one? And it's possible that LSU would put another bye after that in November. Like, it's certainly possible. You could play out, you can have a bye on Halloween, then you could have Bama, then you could have another game, then you could have a bye, then you could have Thanksgiving. Like, that's very possible. It's also possible maybe they give themselves a bye at some point in October. Like before Thanksgiving weekend, maybe the first weekend in October. So you play 4 games, then maybe a bye, and then you play a few more, and then there's a bye, and then you play, and you can kind of chop it up month by month. And I think that probably makes a little bit more sense than to put them both in November, essentially. And then it comes down to like, what team would you want to put a bye in front of? And we know who LSU plays. They play A&M, Ole Miss, Bama, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. And if I'm looking at those teams, I feel like Bama number 1, and then probably Ole Miss and Oklahoma, I feel like would be the next 2 best teams. I think A&M's in a little bit of a rebuild. I think Wigman's good, but they may lose a lot. I'm not all fired up about South Carolina. I don't think they'll be great, and they got Rocket Sanders today. Vanderbilt's a joke. Florida doesn't look very good, even though they will get Graham Mertz back. Arkansas is not exactly putting the fear of God in me. And Oklahoma, that's certainly an option. And I believe that LSU and Oklahoma will be the final week of the season. We know that LSU will not finish the season with Texas A&M. We know when that game is. It's on October 26th. We know that LSU is not going to finish the season with Bama because we know when that game is. It's on Halloween. It's the first weekend of November. We know that LSU does not play Ole Miss to finish the season. 1, because that's going to be the Egg Bowl, and 2, because they announced that game date on the Manning Cast. LSU will play Ole Miss on the 12th. And that one kind of gets my ears ringing a little bit. If you think about Ole Miss on October the 12th, maybe you throw your bye week right in front of that game. And if I'm doing my math right, that would be like 5 games bye week, then 3 games bye week, then Bama. That would make sense. Put that bye in front of Ole Miss. Or if I'm right and LSU's playing Oklahoma at the end of the season, maybe you play Bama, play 1 game, have a bye, play Bama, have another bye, and play Oklahoma. That doesn't seem practical to me, and I don't know that LSU plays Oklahoma the last week of the season. Maybe it's Arkansas, but I feel like LSU and Oklahoma will be the last weekend of the season. So it starts to make sense that bye week for LSU may be early in October. That's what it feels like. One thing that I do like about this schedule for LSU is I don't know what the dates are going to be, but I do know where LSU goes on the road. LSU plays A&M on the road, Arkansas on the road, Florida on the road, and South Carolina on the road. That's really manageable from an SEC perspective. South Carolina is not great. Arkansas is not great. A&M is in the first year of a new head coach, and Florida may be in a bad way. And those are your road games. Now, your home schedule is difficult, but great for the season ticket holders. Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, plus UCLA comes in. And you got USC out in Vegas. So if you're a season ticket holder and you've been disappointed in LSU playing Wisconsin and Houston, in LSU playing North Carolina and Atlanta, LSU playing Florida State and New Orleans, you're disappointed in USC out in Vegas as opposed to coming here. This is the year you've been gearing up for, because Ole Miss, Bama, Oklahoma, and UCLA is a hell of a 4 games. Now, you got to sit through Vanderbilt, and I think you'll be just fine. But it's a monstrous home schedule. So for me tonight, what I'm looking at is, where's that second bye? Do you have maybe back-to-back road games? And then who's at the end of the season? To me, feels like you would put a bye early in October in front of Ole Miss. I think works great since we know when that game's going to be. And then in front of Bama. And I believe, based on the fact that A&M, I think, is going to play Texas at the end. Ole Miss is going to play Mississippi State. Bama's going to play Auburn. South Carolina's going to play Clemson. I believe Vandy will play Tennessee. Florida's got Florida State. And then you've got your 2 left, Arkansas and Ole Miss at the end. And I think that they will put Arkansas with Missouri and LSU with Oklahoma, that in the finale, you're going to have the Tigers and Sooners on Thanksgiving weekend, and that fires me up. And that goes back to the point that I've been making with Florida being a permanent opponent, with the Auburn game going away, with divisions going away, with, whether or not you keep Arkansas or Alabama. Mississippi State, we hadn't played you in a long time. We played you for 1,000,000 years, not playing you next year. Like, you're telling me that you're not going to get jacked up if LSU has put itself in position to play meaningful football at the end of November, which they should in a 12-game playoff league, when Oklahoma comes out of that tunnel on a 52-degree night in Tiger Stadium with the lights on? You really need that to be Auburn? You need that to be Florida? I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm going to be jacked when the Sooners come out of there with that Sooner schooner coming out of that south end zone. That's going to be cool to me. The Crimson and Cream, folks that I go back to the 2004 National Championship game. If you were in Atlanta for the semifinal, which I wasn't, that was not playing Georgia, not going to Neyland Stadium, not going to Jordan-Hare. Your road trips are Kyle Field, Williams-Brice, the Swamp, and D.W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium. LSU should be in a pretty good spot next year if they can shore up this defense and if Nuss is that dude. May find something out about that coming up in the bowl game. But that's your schedule release thoughts from my perspective here on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. All right, we got one segment. We'll play some Take It or Leave It, and we'll leave things at that. It is the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal. They're elevating and celebrating Champions of Louisiana. We've been telling you about LWCC's Champions of Louisiana campaign for a year and a half now, and it's such a cool thing they're doing over there at LWCC. And Marucci Sports certainly is a champion of Louisiana. It's not just that they bring boatloads of tourist dollars to Baton Rouge with the Marucci World Series every year. No, it's not just that they make some bats that LSU's baseball team uses. They've got their baseball performance lab that attracts talent from all over the country. One, to use it. That includes Major League Baseball players. Two, to work in it. Louisiana always fights that battle of getting talent to come into the state to work and keeping talent here in our state. And LWCC recognizes Marucci has absolutely done that. That's why they are a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana, go to lwcc.com/champions to nominate them. Marucci Sports, a champion of Louisiana.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also
this Sunday, as you can catch 3 different NFL games. We start with the noon kickoff. It's the Buccaneers and Packers. Immediately following that, it's Cowboys and Bills. And then the night game, the Ravens at Jaguars. Tune in to catch all 3 of those games right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So, as we always do, we'll play Take It or Leave It to finish things. But first, Beck, I got to ask you, because I just heard Taylor Sharp's promo for Off the Bench there, and he called the football team in Jacksonville by name. How would you refer to that team?
The Jacksonville Jaguars?
Say it again?
The Jacksonville Jaguars?
That's how I say it, Jaguars. But he was hardcore Jaguars. And that's where Hester is, too. And it's very common. Like, I think Barstool had a deal where they went through the office and had everybody do it, and maybe 40% were Jaguars.
Interesting.
It's Jaguars.
It's kind of like the Bengals,
right
the Bengals and the Bengals. Like, I know some people.
Yeah, that's fair. But I feel like that's Jaguars is just wrong. Like, look at the word. That just doesn't seem right to me. But look, we're from the South. We say a lot of stuff wrong.
That's true.
The way it goes. All right, take it or leave it.
All right, first one here. The NFL will play a game in Brazil next year. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. It is. I don't know what the time zone deal is there. I think a lot of people like the Europe game because they can wake up and it's already on. Here's my deal with it, and it's just they want to play so many of these games out of the country. And what it does is take a game away from the towns.
Yeah.
And there just aren't that many of them. We don't want to go watch the preseason. It sucks. None of the Saints players even played in the preseason. So really, you get 8 or 9 of these things, depending on what side you fall on. And I guess you can throw that 9th one, overseas or whatever, but then there's the other side. I just don't like it, and we have to do it because everybody's got to chase so many freaking dollars all the time that we can't just sit still, or else we just feel like we're losing money.
They're growing the game, Hunt.
We got to grow the game. Everybody's got to grow the game. We got to grow the game, grow the great. Well, we're growing the game away from the people that actually want the game.
Yes.
Brazil doesn't want the game.
No.
Nobody in where they play in Berlin or Munich, nobody wants the game. But it's just a shameless cash grab all the time, and I'm the cranky, Yankee who wants all the stuff here in America and keep it the way it is. But man, if LSU played one of their home games in frickin' Dublin, I'd be cranky about it. It's not like you can't even get to it. I mean, how much does it cost to go to Brazil? A lot. It costs a lot of money to go to Brazil for the weekend. I don't like it. I like the fans. It's the same way I feel when they relocate teams and all that kind of stuff. It just bums me out.
Luka Doncic had 36 points and 17 assists in the Mavs 127-125 win over the Lakers last night without Kyrie Irving, by the way, and said after the game, quote, "Everything hurts. I'm getting old, man." Doncic is 24. You feel for Doncic. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I don't feel too bad. That reminded me of two things. It reminded me of Everybody Hurts, that song.
Yes.
It also reminded me of Jameis when they talked to him. Like, where was the pain? Oh, it's just pain everywhere. Pain everywhere. Everywhere. Jameis is always good for a soundbite. No, I think Luka's going to be okay. If he needs to do a little load management, maybe the team will get fired or something.
Yeah.
The team will get fined or something. But yeah, I think Luka will be just fine.
Rare whiskey. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I'm excited to go to Calandro's tomorrow and kind of check it out. I'm not a bourbon guy. I drank a lot of bourbon in college. It oftentimes had Coca-Cola in it, which I know makes the bourbon folks go nuts. But I was 19, so we're basically trying to get it into a straw and get it into the system as quickly as possible at 19 years old, and we accomplished that probably far too often. But I'm a Scotch drinker, and I'm not a fine Scotch drinker. I don't care about your 20-year and your 21-year and your 18-year. I have kind of the ones I like, and that's kind of where I sit. But I think it is cool for those that have a great appreciation for bourbons and scotches, because I promise you, I very much enjoy finishing the week of work or finishing football game at night and having a scotch. Like, I love that. I'm just not going to be the one to tell you what's better, Blanton's or what. I can't even come up with the ones that are like the rare kinds. I'll tell you this though. Even though I'm not a big bourbon guy, my cousin had a very nice wedding that we went to a couple of summers ago, and they had kind of a wine and well bar that was open for the reception. They also had a fine whiskey tasting area that you could go for like a small shot, and I was like, I'm here, like I'll do it, and it wasn't terrible. Like I mean, I would have preferred my reasonably priced scotch to what was probably super expensive bottles of bourbon, so I'm not gonna buy that bottle, but I appreciate those that enjoy it, and I'm excited to get to Calandros tomorrow and kind of see what they've got, and hopefully they raise a bunch of money for 4 kids and for St. Lillian and all the causes that they're doing that for tomorrow. So come on out and see us if you are into the rare whiskey.
All right, last one here. LSU will cover the 20-point spread against Alabama State tonight. Take it or leave it.
I got to leave that. They just haven't shown they can play the 40 minutes yet. I mean, they were absolutely annihilating North Florida a couple weeks ago, and to the point where, and I think I said this on the show, I live pretty close to the PMAC, but my dad and my uncle were going like 30-minute drive home to my uncle's house, and I looked up. I was like, it's 9 o'clock. Like we can head at the under 8 timeout. So we left with like 7 minutes and 40 seconds to go. We get in the car, and they've given up a 13-0 run to the Ospreys. That I did not see coming, and all of a sudden it was 9. It had been 30, and it was 9. So I can't, in good faith, lay 20 with them at this point.
That's a lot of points.
Again, but it is. And so for me, I'd really love it if they could get Jalen Cook out there for 10 or 12 minutes tonight, just to get his feet wet, get him into some offensive sets, maybe knock down a shot or two, and hopefully have him ready to go on Saturday, because I realize how everybody feels about basketball at this point. We're portaling, and I got people text me about baseball season already, but they are playing Texas on Saturday, and I'll be watching. So I would like them to be ready to go for that game, and hopefully Jalen Cook can get out there a little bit tonight inside the PMAC. If you're looking for the LSU basketball team tonight, you can find them in the PMAC at 7 o'clock for tip-off, 6:30 pregame with John Brady, Final Four coach, and the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair. That'll be over on Eagle 98.1, our sister station, if you're looking for that. Again, we'll be at Calandros tomorrow. Very much looking forward to it. Now you can come out and see us from 1 to 3. Matt will be on from 3 to 6. We'll be at Calandros right there on Government Street. So looking forward to doing that. I shouldn't say that. Actually, take that back. It could be on Perkins. I'm not 100% certain. So don't take my word for it. Matt will tell you in the during his show today, and we'll make sure we know that. We'll tweet it out, and we'll have you ready to go tomorrow. So don't take my word for that. I need to know where I'm going to do my show, but they do have multiple Calandros locations. Got to be sure we're at the right one. So don't take my word for that. We'll get you the information as it comes. So if you missed any of our show today, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your audio. You can find us. Search The Hunt Palmer Show, and you can like, subscribe, rate, review. We always appreciate that. You can also find us on YouTube. Our full shows are archived each and every day, and we have separate segments. If you're looking for my LSU football schedule segment, that will be at Hunt on LSU on YouTube. Looking for the Saints and what they've got ahead of them over the next month, as well as the Falcons and the Buccaneers. Talked about that today. You can find that at Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Like and subscribe to those channels if you would. You can get your LSU and Saints content right to your homepage if you subscribe, and we appreciate you making that happen. Talked a little Jalen Cook today. Talked with JD Picell of On 3 Sports today. Talked a little Tommy Moffitt going to College Station today. All that is on demand. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. He'll also tell you where the whiskey raffle is tomorrow, because I didn't get that information timely enough. But we'll be there tomorrow, same time, and at that place, not this one. You've been listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can